What is gonstFM? What is Stationhead? What are radio rituals? All of these questions answered and more, coming right up on gonstFM Off Air. Welcome, ghouls, ghoulettes, and guesties to gonstFM Off Air, the official podcast companion to 66.6 gonstFM, the radio station dedicated to the band Ghost and the gonst posting community. I'm Richie, aka Papa X, aka Papa Me Emeritus, as so lovingly named by the gonst posting community. If you're familiar with gonstFM, you probably still have questions about this podcast. However, if you have no idea what this is or who I am, you probably actually have even more questions about this podcast and the radio station itself. So I'll do my best to explain it all to you here today. Who am I? Well, my name's Richie. I have 8 years of podcasting experience and am the former host, producer, and creator of Super Media Bros podcast. Huge horror movie buff, huge music fan, and very obviously a humongous Ghost fan. I help admin a shitposting group dedicated to the band Ghost called Gonst Posting on Facebook, which is where gonstFM originated, which is why it's dedicated to the band Ghost and the Gonst Posting community. gonstFM. What is gonstFM? Quite simply put, it's a radio station. However, it's not a typical radio station. It is an internet radio station, which I broadcast monthly on the Stationhead app. Again, more questions will be answered. What is Stationhead? Okay. This is probably the question I get asked the most. What is Stationhead? How do I sign up? How do I listen? It's honestly very simple. It's free to sign up at stationhead.com if you have Apple Music or a Spotify premium subscription. And it is required. It's going to prompt you to connect it. Because when I stream live, all of the music coming into the chat and into the station counts as streaming revenue towards the bands that get played. If you scroll up in the show notes below and click the stationhead.com link, it'll take you there and it'll prompt you to sign up. It's very self-explanatory. There's even a frequently asked questions section. No, it doesn't take anything other than Apple and Spotify premium accounts. I've been asked that several times as well. What are radio rituals? Well, radio rituals are things that I host on gonstFM once per month. And what that entails is that sometimes I will do a complete recreation faithfully of a ritual from the band Ghost. We have silly themes, hence the gonst portion. I should clarify that gonst is inherently silly. The radio station is not meant to be taken seriously. In fact, it is filled with jokes. And many of the jokes come from Gonst Posting, the shitposting group. You see how this is all tying together. But back to the radio rituals. The radio rituals host chat spaces as well for all the guesties to interact with one another while the music is playing because we all listen together. I'll give you a rundown of some of the shows that have already happened. The very first gonstFM broadcast was called The First Ritual, and it was based on Ghost's Imperator and Re-Imperator set list, meaning I actually took and curated the exact set list, even adding songs from dates they didn't play specific things on into the set. It's meant to bring us all together and kind of give us a concert experience while being able to interact with each other from far away, because many of us are great friends in the gonst posting community. However, we live very far apart from each other, and this kind of makes us feel closer. We're all friends, we're all family, we love each other. The second broadcast, which unfortunately was not recorded because I went way past the time limit, was New Year's Evil. New Year's Evil was a 6+ hour broadcast on New Year's Eve. And I didn't play just Ghost. I played other bands that were adjacent to Ghost or influenced by Ghost or bands that influenced Ghost. You see where this is going, so we're getting into a little more of what these radio rituals entail, so stick with me. The next broadcast was called The Second Coming, which was based entirely around the Father Jim DeFrog character. I put together a custom ritual which had never been done live by the band Ghost, and that's something I really like to do whenever I curate these set lists. I very much enjoy arranging songs to flow in and out of each other very fluidly. And that's mostly done to give you a great listening experience because every set list that I play on gonstFM actually gets released as a playlist on Apple and Spotify Music, which is completely free to listen to. They are curated to be listened to in the order that they are arranged, though, so bear in mind, if you're listening, put it on shuffle, do whatever you want to do. But I definitely have a song flow in mind when I create these. The ritual after that was in February of this year, and it was called Goulantine Dedications, and it featured our very first call-in segment. Yes, we do have call-ins from time to time where listeners can call in and chat, or you can send song requests, things of that nature. I usually give a heads up if a radio ritual is going to be a sit back and enjoy yourself type of experience, or it's going to be an interactive call me, send your song request kind of experience. So Goulantine Dedications being the very first one, we had a few hiccups here and there, but I'm still working out things with the Stationhead app because a few things happened, like we lost a few song requests because people left the chat room. It's an entire learning experience for myself and everybody involved, but for the most part, it goes off without a hitch. Which brings me to the next question that you probably have had since the very start of this podcast episode. What is gonstFM off air? Well, I'm glad you asked, because gonstFM off air I actually wasn't going to originally do. However, when the opportunity presented itself to interview certain people that have to do with the community, illustrators, tribute bands, content creators, etc., I decided that I didn't want to be limited by time constraints on the music and potentially have anything screw up the audio on Stationhead's end. So I figured, why not just make a podcast for things like that? And being an official companion to the radio station gonstFM, it acts as a separate entity. This show is mostly going to feature solo episodes based on Ghost's music, interviews with content creators, fans, illustrators, other podcasters, people in Ghost's camp, hopefully, one day, maybe, and everything else in between. I don't plan to have a very set schedule where this is concerned. It may only be once or twice a month that I release an episode, and that's mostly because most of my time and energy goes into creating and curating an experience on the radio show itself. I know this episode is probably going to be very short for you, but it's really just meant to give an introduction as to who I am, the goals I would like to set for this podcast going forward, and hopefully just to provide some entertainment for those that are not able to listen to the Stationhead station, because I know there are people out there that do not have Apple or Spotify Premium, and they don't get to experience the radio rituals along with everybody else. Trust me, I did look into other avenues. This is probably the most streamlined way of doing it possible. Hopefully, Stationhead will expand to other streaming platforms like YouTube Music or Pandora or whatever it is that you use. That way, everybody can experience this together, because it is a blast. If you're listening to this right now, I did you a favor. I actually did not release just this episode. I actually released a second episode, just kind of entailing what I would like to do. So if you see that floating around next to this episode, definitely go check that one out. And I plan on having some more stuff coming out for you in the future. If you would like to stay up to date with gonstFM or check out any future radio rituals, you can scroll up to the show notes below and click stationhead.com's link to take you there and sign up. It's pretty damn easy. I know I said that earlier, but again, it's very easy. If you want to follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, we are at gonstFM on all three. We like to keep it easy for you guys. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I am at GFMPapaX. If you're not in it and you want to join us in Gonst posting on Facebook. There's a link in the show notes below for that as well. If you were listening to us on Apple or Spotify, please leave us a rating and review. It will help us tremendously in the podcast apps as far as visibility is concerned. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We are on YouTube at gonstFM. Click the bell for notifications. Does anybody actually click the bell for notifications anymore? I have no idea, but it would be really cool if you did that. Just in case we decide to have any visual content. All of our audio content will always be available there as well, because oddly, I know people that listen to podcasts on YouTube. Sometimes I do it. Also, we have merchandise. If you want to scroll to the show notes below, there is a link to go buy gonstFM merch on our TeePublic store. If you would like to help our radio station and podcast stay on the airwaves, you can send a donation to gonstFM on Venmo. Or you can leave a donation on PayPal using gonstfm@gmail.com. And so, my dearest Gonslings, some of you I will see in internet land. The rest of you I will see in Gonst posting. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, remember, in Gonst, we tronst. I'm Richie, and I'll see you next time.